Hello, everybody. This is episode 7 of the Nintendo Pipeline podcast. I am CMM1215, or Clay, and can you all introduce yourselves?
I'm One Up Muffin, but you can call me Jared.
I'm Mina, but you could call me Mina.
So, we wanted to talk a little bit today about a fun little announcement that happened recently, which is Game Builder Garage. If anyone is not completely familiar with it, it's basically essentially a game making studio software that Nintendo's putting out on June 11th for $29.99. It has some in-depth lessons on how to make games, and it uses a similar sort of system to the Labo Garage or Labo VR Garage to let you basically make your own games. So I guess we can just talk about what everyone thought of it to begin with. I know I'm kind of interested in it.
I mean, first of all, this trailer came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there's that.
Yeah, absolutely blindsided.
They just one. I get push notifications for Nintendo's Twitter, right? And
Yep.
I just get a bloop. Oh, game build. Want to make your own games? Oh, okay, and it's out next month. Oh, sure, why not?
Yeah, it's pretty much the prototypical most Nintendo announcement possible. Like, you know.
Yeah, it looks fascinating. I always, like, when I was a kid, I definitely wanted to create games. I did like some Game Maker. I took some like Flash courses.
Yeah,
But
same.
this looks really fun. You can make the tutorials go over 7 different games,
Yes.
and it really looks like a lot of different options. You could like connect, like, what are they called? Nodons?
Nodons, yeah.
Yeah, they're like the little nodes you connect to like your programming pieces. They have like faces and emotions, and it's very cute.
Yeah, they're
They're
cute.
so cute. Very, very good character design for dumb little like programming stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like a really simple example is you like drag a node on for like left and right on the analog stick, and you drag that to the move for your character. So you connect these nodes. You connect the control stick node to the player node, and then that tells it to go left and right when you press left and right on the control stick.
Yeah, as opposed to like coding or scripting, you're using a more visual flow chart kind of.
Mm-hmm. Visual coding is fascinating. It's very cool stuff.
I think it definitely has some potential with kids in families. Granted, so I'll preface this by saying I said the same thing about Labo. But
I think this will do a lot better than Labo. I mean, it's $30 for one thing, and there's no plastic, there's no cardboard to build.
Right, because I wanted to talk about like what makes this different from Labo, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, right? This is a $30 release. $30 is a great price point. It really is.
Fantastic.
It's definitely, I would say, it's a higher value release.
Yeah.
And the thing about Labo is that I think despite it was the things you could do with Labo were cool. Like, I don't want to dismiss Labo. Everyone does it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was legitimately cool.
I think
right?
it's super cool. Yeah.
But I think it was hard to get over that initial price point. It was like $80, right?
Yeah.
Especially for even no matter what you're doing with it, your mind is like $80 for cardboard, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, and like keeping around little cardboard things.
Yeah.
Yes.
My thing was always like low replay value. Like, I'm not going to get this thing. I'll play the piano once, and then it'll be in a corner forever.
And it'll be in a corner, and it's one of those things where because it is cardboard, it could, keeping it safe is a whole other thing, right? Like, you can't crush it, you can't, like, it's just harder to keep safe, keep around, and plus, I think also, besides price point, besides like not having that extra peripherals or whatever, I think it's just coming out at a better time in the Switch's life cycle. Like Labo, I think releasing a product like that right after the first year was a bad decision. When you're going for these family-friendly games, but the people that you've been appealing to up until that point were people who want to pick up games like Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, right? When now this is coming after a time where the install base is much bigger, more families own it, more children own it, and it's coming after Animal Crossing, after Pokemon, right? So games that target a younger demographic, you know, and so it just makes more sense now.
Yeah. Another great thing about this over the garage that was in Labo was that one was local only. Yes. You couldn't share those things at all. And these you can share online, at least in some capacity.
Yeah, we know that you can share codes, right?
Yep.
Which is
and there's codes for individual games, and then there's maker profile codes, pretty much.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you could just follow someone's maker profile, and then whatever they make.
I don't know if you can specifically follow people, but I know you can like enter a code and just see everything that they've done and download it. And you can also edit stuff that people have made, and it like marks it as
cool.
such.
Remix them.
I think it's like arranged or something like that.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. I think those online components are going to make this like... And mind you, of course, a maker thing just inherently has a ceiling, right? I think we should just get that out of the way. So they'll know this is not going to do like, Luigi's Mansion numbers or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it'll do well for itself. I really do.
Yeah, I think if this at like $30 can hit like 3 million, that would be impressive.
That'd be really, it'd be great.
I think, so a couple things. In terms of Labo and its, release and whatnot, I mean, the obvious, not the obvious, but the intent of Labo and the intent of almost every major first-party release is to sell more Switches. So they definitely wanted to have Labo as like basically a platform in and of itself to sell hardware. In a way that is different from, traditional hardware sales. And obviously that didn't really go to plan, but was ambitious, I would say. This is definitely less, seems less expensive just in terms of like an initiative in general.
Oh yeah.
And
so it's a one-off thing.
I mean, it could be more than a one-off thing, but like it functions as a one-off thing that probably had a reasonably conservative budget, and if it does really well, then that's awesome. If it doesn't do like great, then whatever.
That's fine.
But secondly, in regards to what you've just mentioned about like there's kind of a ceiling on maker stuff. I feel this way about user-generated content dependent games to begin with. I felt that the one potential exception to that could be Mario Maker, just due to how large of an IP Super Mario Bros. Is.
And because they had a full Mario campaign in there. Like, I mostly just played Nintendo's campaign, and I got my money's worth.
Like, personally, I'm not very into user-generated content dependent titles. I don't really like how Little Big Planet plays, so I'm definitely not into like, playing stuff that people made in it. I'm not into, I know Dreams is another example of a game that's a big. There's a campaign there, but it's mostly just user-generated content. I need there to be some kind of, there needs to be some kind of guidance or limitation for that to potentially be an appealing proposition to me. But Mario Maker...
Do you think you would buy this to play even if just to play like the 7 tutorial things?
Yeah, so but I mean well actually before we get into that, just to finish this point, I think Mario Maker is legitimately the one potential exception of a user-generated content focused game that actually has massive sales potential. And that's legitimately just because it is Super Mario Bros. So in terms of Game Builder Garage, it's definitely a lot easier to see myself using it because, compared to most other user-generated content games, with the exception of Mario Maker, which I do find a strong appeal in, there's more of a chance because one, just the entry point. The entry point is $29.99. Like that is a great decision. I was fully expecting when I saw the announcement trailer for it to be a full $60, and I was pleasantly surprised when it was $29.99.
That was half that.
Oh. And yeah, in regards to some of the features in there, the lessons. So there are apparently 7 lessons in the game, and they range from 40 to 90 minutes long. So there, it's not like a huge amount of content, but it's a reasonable amount of content in a $30 game, I would say.
Yeah, it's still showing you. It's showing you how to create like 7 different types of games, which is a great starting point. I think.
Ultimately, the greatest value from a consumer standpoint for a game that's about making games or about making content is the library of that user-made content, and if it's worth owning the game to explore that library of user-owned content. Now that can be bolstered if Nintendo chooses to release their own, content as well. As examples or, whatever, like, Mario Maker has a pre-made Nintendo campaign in it. WarioWare DIY had games that were there built in, and then you could download like special ones like every month or whatever. So I think that would help my interest in it. The tools themselves seem simple enough. I just don't know if I see myself really building that much in there. Certainly not on the level of like Mario Maker. I can just, throw something together if I really wanted to, which I never just throw something together. I end up taking an hour to do nothing. But I don't know if I see myself making stuff in this that much. But I also think for the price point that if I don't, it's not like I, wasted like I wasted the money doing it. So I guess
it's $30, so it's just like whatever. I mean, I think like I'm not a creative type, right?
Yeah.
But and so like making stuff doesn't appeal to me. But I do like checking out what other people made sometimes, right? I'm not like too hot at it, but hey, every now and then it would be nice. And I think Muffin, you are big into dreams, right?
I like dreams.
Not big, maybe, but
I think it's I need to deal more with the creation side of it. I've pretty much only done the playing games side of it. And there's some really fun stuff on there, like genuinely fun games that people have created. And the tools they've created seem fantastic. I'd love to play around with those more, like the sculpting and music making. I need to dive more into that. So I'm definitely very interested in Game Builder Garage. I would like to try to make a game. I would want to see if I can do like a little like pinball game or something. I'd love to try that out.
Yeah,
the game I make will be exclusive to the Switch Pro, by the way. It will not be able to run on the current Switch.
Labo VR only.
Yeah.
Do we know if Game Builder Garage supports Labo or not?
See, I am curious about that because, well, I kind of hope it does though, because look, I think it's smart to mostly sell it on here. You can make a game that you just play with buttons and whatever, right? But what Labo showed is the potential with the Joy-Con is crazy. With the technology that they have packed in there between the gyroscope and accelerometer, but also the IR camera and the haptic feedback, the HD Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's actually, like... I mean, they were able to make a goddamn piano just from the Joy-Con,
Yeah,
like from technologies that the Joy-Con has in there. And so, even if they don't advertise it this way, I kind of hope they sneak in support for like, hey, you can do whatever you want with the Joy-Con, even if this is not what we're focusing on, right?
Yeah.
The focus is on just what games you can play with buttons, right?
Yeah.
But as an option, like, let people who are just really creative just go all out with this stuff.
So I know for fact so far that the game does support using the tilt functionality on the Joy-Con.
Oh, it does?
And it does support the IR camera as well.
See,
yeah.
so there's potential there.
Yeah.
I mean...
But I mean specifically, like...
Oh, sure, like the
Labo
existing
steering wheel
Labo, like,
like
component.
stuff like that, yeah.
I mean, I think it wouldn't be bad to support this, but I think the thing that we have to consider is those, I don't know, do you want to call them peripherals? I don't know.
People didn't buy Labo, so I think it would be unfair
there's not
to
that many
people
out
that bought
there.
this game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be unfair to buy this game and say, like, hey, for this game you need a Labo steering wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to be like this. I mean, it's not like you could I'm sure you'd be able to build a game that uses, you know, you can use it with or without Labo, essentially, just because, like, say, like, if you're using the steering wheel, for example, like, you can use it with the Labo steering wheel, or you can just, tilt it manually or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be the worst thing to include that stuff as an option to use, because they've already made that function for Labo and Labo VR Garage. Like, I don't really see the point.
Like, considering the functionality is already there, like, except it was more bare bones in those entries, right?
Right.
But this is clearly building off of that, so I feel like you may as well just, again, you don't have to advertise this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could just be an extra option, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that would be totally, like, to me, in my mind, there's just no reason not to.
Yeah, it seems like it would be kind of weird to just leave that out if you kind of already did the work for it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But yeah, like, there is a lot of potential here, obviously. There's also, I should mention, there is USB mouse support.
Yeah.
That's wild.
In
that's
dock
really
mode.
smart.
Yeah.
That is really smart, because I mean, obviously the touchscreen is very intuitive in of itself, right? But if you're playing in docked, like, yeah, like, it'll have button controls, but giving you the control of a mouse just really makes the usability skyrocket, right?
Yeah, and it seems to be like just any typical USB mouse will work. One other thing, I was just checking to make sure I was correct on the IR camera bit. That is a thing, and also there is rumble support. You can add rumble.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know I don't know if
can
it's
you do like haptics or
I don't know if it's like complex HD rumble, but some form of rumble you can do.
I also, like, I wanted to shout out real quick so they used this tagline both in the trailer, and this is how they titled the press release for the game as well. And that's learn to make games from the makers at Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Which I kind of find that in of itself to me is a really good pitch, right? It's learn to make games from the minds at Nintendo. Yeah, that's what it said. Yeah, so it's like that. I think that's a really strong pitch of, like, hey, like, yeah, like, this is a creator game, and you can make whatever you want or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But here, one of the most respected game developers in the world is teaching you how to make games. That's a really cool thing.
That is a good selling point.
If there's anyone I want to learn how to make games from, it'd be Nintendo, right?
Especially if some of the lessons have, like, non-technical things in them, like, hey, when you're making a game, think about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like if they get very, like, if they, I think the tutorials themselves, even if they're and there probably will be bare bones, but I think there's some potential in there,
Yeah, one thing that's worth mentioning too is so in terms of possibilities for your projects, you can have up to 512 nodons in a project, which is a lot. And then out of those, you can have up to 1,024 connections. So, I mean, that's a lot right there. There's also a built-in texture editor. It's called a texture editor. I don't know if you can create something and not map it to a 3D object or not, but that's what it is in game. In terms of BGM, there does not appear to be a creator. It's a selection of tracks, so it doesn't quite have that going on.
Oh, really? I thought there would have been a music creator in it for sure.
Yeah, I thought so too, but at least from what I can tell
from
the
Japanese
that for sure? Site, from what I saw on the Japanese site for BGM, you click on it and there's like, say like 12 different tracks that you can choose from. I would love to be wrong on that point. I'm not 100% sure on that. But even then, just with the number of nodons and connections, there's a lot that you can do. And apparently you can link games together, which is also interesting. So you know, say you have like you can have like one game be level 1 and one game be level 2 or something like that. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I don't totally know or understand how that works and to what degree that works. I just know that you can somehow link projects together.
There's a really cool feature that I would love to see from Dreams in here, where in Dreams, if you're not like an artist or a music creator, you can like go onto like the explore page and just look specifically for like object models or songs. And I wonder if you can just like download other people's like songs, or like, I guess not songs, but like textures or characters, and use them in your own games here. Because like, I'm not an artist, I cannot draw anything at all.
No.
Yeah. I do hope they have some like.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know at the very least for like, you know, characters, for example, they have a built-in like little 3D robot dude. But I'd like to see.
He was in Labo VR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from that. I'd like to see. I hope there are some other built-in like example assets that you can use, even just if you're just using them as placeholder. They show, you know, in the video for it, you know, obviously there's a lot of example projects and stuff that you can do, and I don't know which of those will be actually included and which of those are just made to kind of show what it can do, but hopefully there are some number of assets that you can use.
I hope you don't have to be like a creative.
Yeah.
It actually, I think it shows in the picture the 7 games that you'll be able to create.
Yep.
I don't know if these are the full. There's My Game, there's Thrill Racer, Mystery Room, Risky Run, Alien Blaster, On a Roll, and Tag Showdown.
Yeah.
I think those are the 7 tutorial games. It looks like a 3D platformer, a racer, a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, and a multiplayer game. I'm not sure what the other ones are.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning. So there are a total of 71 game slots in this game. 7 of those are for the lessons. So you have 64 game slots to work with.
That's a lot of games.
And in between lessons, there are also quizzes. They're called checkpoint quizzes. So you have to make something or answer something or whatever, which is cool. I like that as well.
Can we?
I think it's also. Okay, go on.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just really quick note. I was just gonna say it's really interesting to see a $30 physical release from Nintendo. That's not something we see often at all.
Oh yeah, is this the cheapest physical release we've seen from them this gen?
Potentially.
Except Tetris, I guess.
Yeah. I don't.
Oh sure, Tetris.
I don't recall if Cadence was 30 or 40. But
I know like Captain Toad was 40 and Clubhouse was 40, but yeah, $30. I mean, it's definitely on the cheaper end for Nintendo this generation in particular.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. Can we talk about the workhorses that is this EPD production group? You know?
Yes.
Because they have released basically one game every year. If you count the Labo games as separate, then even more than that, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But, you know, they came out with 1-2 Switch. They came out with, in 2017, they came out with 4 separate Labo sets from 2018 to 2019.
Yep.
Ring Fit in 2019. And now this game, you know.
Yep.
And they also did the Jump Rope Challenge, which is obviously on a much smaller end. But, hey, you know.
And they are, I believe, also I want to say they're also potentially assisting on Miitopia. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, so they made the original Miitopia.
Yeah. So
and so they're definitely doing oversight. On,
yeah.
Yeah. On the remake or whatever.
Yeah.
So they've been, I mean, you know, they've been pumping out games at such a rapid pace. Some of them are not so great, right? But some of them are really cool, like this, or especially Ring Fit, right? I love that this team is just kind of throwing ideas at the wall, you know?
Yeah.
Of like, what can we do with the Switch? And they're just pumping out new IPs, new ideas. they've been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
you know?
I think they're very similar in the DS days when they threw together the Brain Age team and were like, here's some tech, make something out of it. You got 4 months. Like, it's that sort of
Oh yeah,
deal.
very very that.
Yeah, which I like quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm really big fan of that. Like the smaller Nintendo stuff is sometimes my favorite stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, so the EP producer of this group is Koichi Kawamoto, and he is one of the things he worked on earlier was Brain Age. You know, he was the before he was producer, he was the director of both Brain Age games.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, you there's definitely that spirit in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, he is also the general director of the Switch, like the Nintendo Switch, like hardware. You know.
Right. Yeah.
This dude does a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's a very important guy at the company, clearly. You know.
Yeah, he does work.
He's without a doubt. So cool.
It's also important to note that it's just amazing how much Nintendo supports creativity with their games. You get just this generation alone. We got Mario Maker 2, Miitopia is really creative. You got Labo. You got this. It's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of focus on, like, you know, just letting your creativity shine, right? In the Switch era, and that's pretty neat. I like that they're supporting stuff like that, even if it's not necessarily my cup of tea, right? I'm not a creative person, again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I love that there's this outlet for people on the Switch. I'm a big fan of that.
I would say, actually, you know, it's not necessarily the focus, but Animal Crossing is very big on that.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. One other thing I'd like to quickly mention, a couple of details. So according to Nintendo.com, the game does support up to 8 players. So there should technically be 8-player support for these games. I'm assuming if, you know, each person is using a Joy-Con. So that's potentially interesting.
It also mentions online play, but I assume that might be just sharing levels.
Yes.
Yeah, that's almost certainly what that
I'm
is.
aware it's just online sharing, yeah.
But 8 people's cool.
It does have cloud saves, which is nice. You know, God forbid.
And it's only 1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte.
Yep. And the other thing too, in regards to the built-in lesson games, that On a Roll one is apparently a motion-controlled marble roller. So
it's fun.
So they'll even teach you how to, like, mess with those motion controls.
But I wonder if you can do things like Wii Sports in here.
Yeah, you know.
God, imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine that
someone just makes Wii Tennis in there.
Yeah, like if you have some degree of control over gyroscope to the point where you can make a rolling marble maze, then I don't see why you would not be able to, do, a sports game of some kind. There's just a lot of potential here, and I think the aesthetic and the characters and stuff make it very appealing. I'm very curious to see if maybe this makes its way into education in some way, in ways that Labo didn't. There's just kind of just a lot here to digest. And also, because this is wonderful to me, Japan, with their physical edition, they get a series of cards that have the different node on them. They're like reference cards, pretty much.
Oh, that's so cute. I wish we got that.
We don't get that here. I would love if they were like on my Nintendo as a reward or something like that. I think that's very cute. The only place that does not get this physical is Europe. So F in the chat for Europe. But yeah,
I thought you were about to say F Europe, and I was like, whoa.
No. I'm Europe and I are cool. Just F's in the chat for
F's
Europe.
In the chat. Oh.
But yeah, it's a month away. Actually, a month away from today. We're recording this on May 11th. It is out on June 11th.
And we'll definitely talk more about it then.
Yeah. If anyone here is interested in making stuff, if you guys would like to see features for games that you've made or some sort of competitions and stuff, definitely let us know. It's the kind of stuff that we'd like to spread and feature on the Discord and on the blog. So yeah, definitely let us know. Was there anything else that hasn't been said that you guys wanted to mention?
That was all I got.
No, those. Oh well, you know what? I want to shout out Miss Emily Rogers, who absolutely nailed this.
Yes.
She claimed on the Twitters that some sort of Labo eShop game was coming, and this is obviously what that was.
Yeah.
She never misses. You
nope.
know, she never misses. So.
Yeah. She to be specific, she did clarify on Twitter that this is the game that she was referring to. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff. That's kind of also why I wonder if there's Labo functionality in there. Obviously, this is kind of built off of the Labo Garage functionality, but we'll see if there's any more to it than that.
Right.
We still have a month before launch. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe a little bit of something else more before, but who knows? They've been pretty transparent about the contents of this game, so maybe we just kind of know everything already. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this episode. As always, you can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, all that fun stuff. Hit us up if you have any questions. If there's anything you'd like to see, feedback, you can leave feedback in the Discord, or feel free to leave comments. And trying to think if there's anything else, but besides that, keep an eye on the blog, nintendoera.wordpress.com. We will have more updates and competitions and articles and all that fun stuff for you. And until next time, this has been the Nintendo Pipeline Podcast. See ya.
See ya.